Hey everyone, Austin here. I just wanted to address some things about what's been going down with I guess with the whole internet phenomenon of people cheering on violence, particularly on places like TikTok, even a little bit on X and Blue Sky, but overall, it sounds like it's mostly coming from TikTok for whatever reason. I mean, TikTok, I've always said to some certain extent that it's a kind of like a cesspool for political insanity, if you will, and insanity in general. Obviously, the internet is a place, where people are supposed to freely share ideas, and I'm not against people freely sharing ideas. I mean, if you have, the wildest take, the wokest take on the internet, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm just going to probably tell you you're a little off. I'm not going to cancel you for it. But this is what I have a problem with. So, this has been happening for what seems to be months now. People continually calling for this thing. I may have to come out and say it, and just to be upfront with you guys now, a few of the videos I've done in the past, when it was concerned those two famous characters on either side and their problems, I had to age restrict those, because it was a very sensitive topic. Now, with this case, I'm not going to, because unfortunately, sorry, background noise, so back to what I was saying, so, the problem, almost lost my train of thought. So, I'm not going to age restrict this mostly because I think, unfortunately, young people are exposed to this anyway. This particular scenario, this particular topic, unfortunately, especially people, kids on TikTok now. I don't think anyone on TikTok is age restricting these assassination calls for assassination attempts on Trump and Elon. I don't think they're censoring their videos. I don't think they're saying 18 up like what I was doing with the videos I was talking about, because it's a different category, unfortunately. And it's a category that, unfortunately, the left just brought on themselves. So, they put themselves in that category, not me. I was just watching a Brad versus Everyone podcast where he was just talking about this. And there's a study out now showing that a good amount of these people, particularly the left of center, a majority of them, by the way, are encouraging violence. They're encouraging, assassination attempts on both Trump and Elon. They are encouraging violence against Tesla dealerships, and even the people who may or may not support Trump and happen to have a Tesla. I mean, give me a break, you guys. Give me a break. So, that being said, with that in mind, I mean, think about it. You have these people, I don't know their names, but you see these people. I'm not on TikTok. I've said this a million times, you guys. But I've seen people react to these and come out and say, wait a minute, these people are crazy. And I can see they're crazy. It is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. I do not, and this is the point I want to make, particularly about the quote, assassinations, and you have these people like, oh, just take one for the team. Take one for the team. And they try to, dance around the subject. Dude, we know what you're talking about. Don't pretend we don't know what you're talking about. The right knows. And so does your buddies on the left. That's why you're doing it that way, just to, get their attention. Oh, okay. That's what they do. They're like, oh, okay. Mindless. Spineless. Whatever. And you talk like you don't have the guts to do whatever you want to do. And so you're like, oh, just take one for the team. Just come out and say it. Don't talk like that. Please. It is disgusting. It is weird. It is condescending. A little bit. But anyways, let's think about this for a second. Now, yes, there are some of the fringe people on the right who have done some weird stuff. Maybe they haven't called for violence per se, but they've done some violent stuff. I'm not gonna pretend. I mean, there was a few fringe MAGA supporters that were mad about the whole 2020 election, which part of me still believes it's stolen. Another part of me is like, maybe not. But overall, there was a lot of reason to be a little upset. But don't beat on a police officer. I mean, yeah, you had some interesting characters egging these people on. No doubt about it. You know, like the guy just said, we need to something in the Capitol. There were those few people. Okay, so they did do that. But there were some very interesting characters. There were some very weird characters, okay? But this is what we did not do. We did not call for a quote, what I just said a few minutes ago, a quote, attempt on Joe Biden. We never did. None of us. No one that I recall has ever said that. So why are you doing this in the reverse from the left? Why? Because they love violence. They proved it during the summer of love of 2020, the so-called summer of love. We're not stupid. We know what you're doing. So let me ask you, for those who may happen to come across this video, those who happen to be on the left, let me ask you a question. If it was the reverse, if the right actually did that, and may have successfully done it, we already saw what happened. I forget the dates now. I know one of them was in July. That was the one time where you have the famous fight picture that everyone, knows about now. It is famous. It'll probably be in a, it'll become a famous painting maybe, But think about it. What if that actually happened coming from the right towards Joe Biden? Well, one, Kamala Harris would definitely take over then. Two, you would just have provoked the right to do the opposite. And that's what, if you ever watched Brad Palumbo's video, he actually kind of indicated that. He said, the right would have, this would have been a civil war. We would have had a civil war, especially we have heard people back in 2020 actually yelling about, like, because of this election, there might be a civil war. We heard that. We've heard it over and over and over. Some of us have propagated the idea. Of course, that never happened. Not like a literal civil war. I mean, we've had a war of words amongst the left and the right. But never physical. Never like, what the old Civil War was. It was Team Blue versus Team Gray. Now it's Team Red versus Team Blue. If you want to put in perspective. It never came to that. But if that actually happened, if we actually did do what you're calling on Trump to Biden, if this was reversed, oh my God, you would be so upset. You would be calling the FBI. Yeah, you would be calling the FBI, no doubt. And especially if people were actually, supposedly, calling that, you would call the FBI on them too. So why are you boldface talking smack like that on the internet? Now someone who is a diehard Trump and Elon supporter, they're going to call the FBI on you. And in fact, if you ever watch Brad's videos, even though he's not a big Trump Elon fan, last time I checked, he's actually said stuff like, it's like, FBI, yeah, that's what's going to happen. You calling for that will get the FBI at your door. Especially now under Cash and Bongino. Are you kidding me? They'll come to your door. Are Are you guys insane? Are you guys insane? Now, this is not over. I have one other thing to touch on. So now that I've clarified your delusions, for those who are from the left and encourage this BS and actually wind up watching this video, let me ask you another question. Isn't it funny that in the last 2 days, this whole thing started 2 days ago. This is a different incident, but it's the same encouragement of violence. In this case, the actual violence actually happened. A pro-life woman who works with a pro-life organization called Live Action was doing man on the street interviews. She was doing a street interview. Asking people, random people in New York City. I'm from the state of New York. I'm just not from New York City. But that put aside, she was doing these on street video interviews, and she's like, "Okay, are you pro-life, pro-choice, and why?" And if it's a pro-choice person, she would try to have a somewhat of a decent debate. And apparently, it seemed to be going well for like the first 20 minutes or so. And she said it later. But this is what I don't get. So, oh, and by the way, if you guys have seen the videos, and this goes with everything I'm talking about, you can actually find this online. This is not hard to find. I'm not going to try to throw proof down there like I've done with some other videos, because I don't think we need proof for this one. I think you guys can actually look for yourselves. I don't need to help you this time. So, if you're saying I'm saying anything that's baseless, please look it up. Look it up on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, whatever you gotta do. Do your due diligence. And I've done plenty of that. So don't come at me and say I'm lying. But listen, this lady, who happens to be, she well dressed, an African American woman, and she gets confronted by a fellow African-American woman who just happens to be on the other side of the aisle. I love black people. I respect black people. I have black friends. So it disturbs me, even if it's, I don't care the race. The race does not matter here, but I'm just making a point. And this is how the left is so hypocritical. So hypocritical. And obviously, we should listen to all voices, even voices that the left deems as minorities. I do not deem them as minorities. I just deem them as fellow human beings. That's how I view them. Fellow human beings who have a right to their opinion. The problem is the left does not have that same standard. They have a double standard. So, this other woman, a pro-choice woman, I'm going to stick to now the political views now, just for clarification. Pro-life woman doing interviews. She runs into a pro-choice woman, and they get into a heated argument, a heated discussion. Pro-choice woman hits the pro-life lady in the face. And when I saw the video the second time, I noticed that she was wearing glasses. She was wearing glasses, the pro-life woman. Hits her square in the face. Now, the video I saw was blurred, but you could tell afterward that she was definitely hit in the face. This was not an accident. The woman was raged for no reason. They were having just a very spirited debate up to that point. And nothing wrong with spirited debates. Nothing wrong with heated debates. Just don't take it to the next level. Don't take it out. And this is the difference between the left and right. The left will be provoked no matter what. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how nice you are to them. They will find something to be angry about. The right, however, at least the ones with a spine, some of our group does not. But the majority of us do have a spine and will not retaliate or do anything unless we're provoked. We're very nice people, for the most part. Except for a few. I'm not going to pretend there isn't a few crazies on our side. I will admit to that. But this is what I don't get. Square in the face. Bam. On the ground. And then there's a whole, incident and all that. And then she actually says, first 20 minutes, everything was fine. Until this. And now, it's starting in X, weirdly. A lot of the big people on X from the left are like, yes, go Queen, go. And then now you have TikTok jumping in and saying, yeah. And they want more of it. And some are saying like, oh yeah, this one was a rage baiter. And yeah, you finally got what you deserve. Because if you do street interviews, that's rage baiting. What? What? So a street interview? Having decent debates? Is rage bait? Are you insane? Dude. How's that rage bait? And again, the hypocrisy. We must listen to, this is the left talking, not me. The left saying we must listen to black voices. Cool. Black voices are human voices. Fine. But what, and then you turn around and have the nerve, they're like, oh yeah, that particular one rage baited, so she deserved what she got. Nope. Math's not mathing, ladies and gentlemen. Math is not mathing. As Brad Palumbo would say. This is not my original statement, guys. That's a quote from Brad Palumbo. He's used that quote multiple times. That's that phrase. And it makes perfect sense to me. The math is not mathing here. Apparently you're acting like 2 plus 2 equals 5. It does not. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2, 2, 4. Not 2, 2. Not 2, 2, 5. 2, 2, 4. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. This is the level to which the left has fallen. They have fallen to violence. That is their only way of defending anything they have to say. They don't like logic. They like violence. They like kindergarten activity, or I should say kindergarten behavior. When you're an adult. True, some of the people on our side do the same thing. I'm not going to pretend that's not true. You can say, oh, you're just picking on the left. Oh, yeah. My people sometimes do the same thing, and we are guilty of it. But, no, this is inexcusable. Violence, political violence is not okay. No matter the side. Okay? End of story. Alright, guys. I've went long enough. It's probably one of the longest pre-recorded videos I've ever done for you guys. I don't normally say this on any of my videos. I usually just, talk about something and then leave the, end of recording. But, please subscribe. I definitely wanted to reach my first goal of 50 subs because I want to start doing some live streams and stuff like that. So, if you want to get down and if you like this content, please subscribe. And, until next time, just, get your feelings in line, get them in check, and let's have good, reasonable political discussion. God bless.